Hello everyone, welcome back to your channel UGC Net Commerce Gyan Group. So in today's video, we are going to discuss about the Vedas. What is Vedas, different types of Vedas and relevance of Vedas in day-to-day life. So let's quickly discuss. Okay, the first concept in this series is the Vedic tradition. The term Vedic is basically derived the words from Veda. Veda means knowledge in Sanskrit. So basically, knowledge, ancient knowledge about human life, universe, nature, medicine, yoga practices, astronomy, and mathematics. So Veda is basically a guiding principle of human life, right? So, and we can say Vedas, it's basically these are the foundation of Indian spiritual, philosophical, and cultural traditions. And basically, Vedas basically help us to preserve our ancient knowledge about our religion. So, in short, or in other words, we can say Vedas are a collection of ancient hymns, rituals, philosophical discourse which are written in Sanskrit language. And we have basically four type of Vedas. So one of the oldest Veda is we have a Rig Ved, then we have Samved, Yajurved, and Atharved. So these Vedic knowledge is during that time, this was passed orally from one generation to other generation, right? So, in short, Vedas, it's basically a knowledge about human life, about its universe, about nature, medicine like Ayurveda, how to cure from different diseases, and yoga practices for meditation, mindfulness, different types of meditation practices to have a good control on body and mind. And astronomy, like exact planetary positions, in detail, we have seen a lot of hymns which is dedicated to astronomy, which talk about the distance between the sun and earth or the speed of light, yes. And mathematics, the different hymns is dedicated which talk about the exact value of pi up to a 36 decimal. So Vedas, it's basically a knowledge which talk about our religion practices, about rituals, about the ethics, like the role and responsibility of an individual by the concept of dharma, or uh, Vedas are covered, the various aspect of human life, and it's basically a guiding principle of human life. So first we have the Rig Veda. So Rig Veda is the ancient Indian religious book, and it's basically consists various hymns for praying Vedic gods such as Agni Dev, Indra Dev, Mitra Dev, and Surya Dev. So various uh, hymns is dedicated to different god, and so basically, in Rig Veda, it is the oldest and religious book, and it's divided into the 10 mandalas. And those 10 mandalas is talk about different aspect of the life, and various hymns is there for praying to the different gods. So it's talk about four god. Rig Veda specific talk about four god, that is Agni Dev, Indra Dev, Mitra, and Varun. The fire god, the Lord of heavens, and water god, and Surya Dev. Okay, son of God. So, Rig Veda is the oldest and the largest amongst the four Vedas, and it, as different gods like Surya Dev, Varun Dev, Indra Dev, and it's also cover the different aspect of the life, like religious, social, and philosophical life during the Rig Veda period. So let's discuss about nature of Rig Veda. So it's mainly include the collection of hymns, and these hymns are normally used to praise the god Indra Dev, Varun Dev, Surya Dev. Um, and the priest associated with the Ringved is called Hotra, and Hotra basically recite the mantra during the yajnas. Now let's understand the importance of Rig Veda. So Rig Veda, it's not only cover the ritual purposes, but it also helps to understand the ancient Indian religious practices, the philosophical um, the philosophy, the society, poetic expression, and ritual practices. So it's not just help the ritual practices, but it's also helps to understand the philosophy, like it's talk about like the source of life, and the source of what is the source of this universe, and relationship between the human and the Brahman society, by using explain the concept of karma, dharma, what is the role and responsibility of an individual, poetic expression. So different, a poetic version is there. We have seen in Rig Vedas, and spiritual thinking. It's create a path. To it's give a unique perspective to an individual to think from the different perspective. Like it's talk about the some hence is dedicated which talk about the metaphysical questions about the question about the universe, the question about the the formation of human being, and the source, the source behind the divine power. So it's talk about, very deeply questions about the human life, the universe, and the relationship between the soul and the Brahman. So it's covered the various aspect of the life which help us, to be better human being and guide us. Sages were orally Okay. So in Rig Veda period, the knowledge is transmitted orally from one generation to other generation, and which talk about the curiosity of the Vedic sages, how they curious about like life, universe, and what is the relationship between the life, or the soul, or the universe, Brahman or Atma में क्या connection है, who is the creator of this universe, why we are here, what is the purpose of our life, so they ask different questions about the life, about the universe. So so that shows the deep meaning. They try to find out the actual meaning of this life. Then it's talk about Rig Veda. It's talk about philosophical ideas in Rig Veda. The several Vedas we have different, so which talk about the different aspect about the universe or the creation of this universe. For example, the Nasdya Sutra. नास्तिया सूत्र ऋग्वेद के बेसिकली 10th मंडल में 129 वो hymns है, which talk about basically this Nastya Sutra. It's also known as the hymns of creation. So these hymns is basically shows the sages thought process about the creation of this universe. And according to the sages, there's no one is aware about the who actually creates this universe. So no one have a deep knowledge who create this universe and what is their purpose of creation of this universe. Second, we have like Hiranyagarbha Sutra, ऋग्वेद में 10th मंडल में 121 hymns है, which sutra है, which collection of hymns which talk about the about this universe, like this Hinyagarbha is also known as the golden worm. And according to this sutra, और इसमें जितने भी मंत्र हैं, कलेक्शन ऑफ मंत्र हैं, उसका बेसिकली इन शॉर्ट मतलब ये है कि इस यूनिवर्स से पहले एक हिरण्यगर्भा ही था जिससे इस पूरी सृष्टि की संरचना हुई है। और उसी को बेसिकली हम परमात्मा कहते हैं। वही डिवाइन एनर्जी है जो क्रिएशन ऑफ दिस यूनिवर्स और डिफरेंट गैलेक्सी और सब उन्होंने बनाया हुआ है। सो एक ही डिवाइन एनर्जी है जिसको हम परमात्मा बोलते हैं। नेक्स्ट पुरुषुक्ता ऋग्वेद का 10 मंडल में 19 वो है, विच टॉक अबाउट द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग्स। And so we have a different theories related to that. So it's a philosophical aspect about the Rig Veda. Then the famous idea is in Rig Veda is that truth is one, but the learned speak of it in many ways. So there's only a one truth, and we have a different version, different view, or different perspective to look at it. So ultimate reality is one. So this promotes the idea of unity in diversity, right? So next, quickly discuss the features of Rig Veda. So earliest Veda है, earliest Veda, one of the oldest Veda or the earliest Vedas, largest Vedas, like we have Samved, Yajurved, and Atharved. सबसे बड़ा जो है उसमें ऋग्वेद ही है. Collection of poetic hymns, and it gives early Vedic religious and philosophical knowledge. It's contain symbolic ideas, philosophical perspectives about the life, about the universe. Next, let's talk about the Samveda. Samveda is a Veda of songs of melodies and chants, and it's basically have 1,875 verses, which are basically primarily derived from the Rig Veda. So जो मंत्र ऋग वेद में है उसी को convert कर दिया into songs and melodies for the simplified language, so that everyone can understand the meaning of those mantras and connect with that divine energy. So Samveda, it's also known as the Vedas of melodies and the book of chants or the book of and now let's now let's discuss the features of Samveda. So Samvedas basically contains melodies which is basically derived from the Rig Veda. It's nothing but a collection of hymns, or it's focused on the chanting of different hymns during the rituals. And in Samveda, it's basically the foundation of today's Indian classical music. So Samveda is nothing but the foundation of Indian classical music. And its composition, let's quickly discuss composition. It's have 1875 verses, which is taken from the Rig Veda. And the purpose, it's basically to create a divine energy and to create a spiritual atmosphere. The ultimate purpose of conversion of those hymns into songs and melodies, so that everyone is able to understand the actual meaning of those mantras and try to connect themselves with the divinity. So, and the verses are rearranged in such a manner so that they can performed in different rituals or different sacrifices. Next, Samveda is divided into two major parts. Archika contain hence gun, which basically provide the musical notations and instructions of chanting. So, it's part into two parts. One, it's contain hence, and second, it's the musical notations and instructions for chanting. Um, so that is all about Samveda. Now let's talk about Yajur Veda. So Yajur Veda, Yajur means sacrifice, Veda means knowledge. So it's knowledge about the sacrifice, right? So that is why this Yajur Veda is also known as the Vedas of sacrificial formula. Vedas of sacrificial formula. It contains the compilation of mantras and verses which are used in rituals and sacrifices. In other words, we can say that Yajurveda, it's basically a guidebook or instructions how to perform different ceremonies, how to perform different rituals, right? So clear guidebook or the instruction like what to offer, how to offer, what mantra we will use during this havan, or it's entirely depend upon purpose of the havan or a yag. Next, Yajurveda is divided into the two parts or the two branches. First is Sulk Yajurveda and second is Krishna Yajurveda. So, white Yajurveda or black Yajurveda. The white Yajurveda contain only mantras and everything is arranged as per the order. And Krishna Yajurveda, it's basically a black Yajurveda, which a mix of mantras about a mix of mantras is there, right? So in white Yajurvedas we contain the hymns which arrange as per the order, and in Krishna Yajurvedas we have a mix of mantras which discuss the different importance and the importance and different contexts of the rituals. So, and according to the different rituals like Agnihotra or Rajsuya, Ashwamedha, the instructions and the procedures, everything is given in Yajurveda, as the Yajurveda is work as a guidebook or the instruction. It's give you clear instruction, what mantra you have to perform, what instruction you have to follow one by one. Everything is there in the Yajurveda. Next, let's discuss the importance of Yajurveda. So it's basically Yajurveda. It's basically focused on the practical execution of the rituals. Practical execution of the rituals. It's serve as bridge between the theoretical hymns of Rig Vedas and melodies or songs of Samveda. It's actually focused on the execution of the rituals. Next. Next, we have Atharveda. So, Atharveda is basically different Ved from other three Vedas. It is entirely different from Rig Ved, Samved, and Yajur Ved. So, and its hymns are more diverse character than Rig Ved and also in simpler language. And the some scholar or the some sages even they do not consider this Veda as a Veda, right? Because it's cover a different aspect of the life. For example, it's talk about the Ayurvedic or Ayurvedic. It's talk about Ayurveda. Atharvedic talk about Ayurveda, yoga practices, creation of, it's important to have a balance between body and mind. It's talk about the agriculture practices. It's talk about governance, and it's talk about black magic. And there are some mantras, to cure yourself from black magic, or some mantras to protect yourself, or to work on your prosperity. So it's entirely different. It's talk about how it's talk about your health, it's talk about your overall governance, black magic practices, it's talk about some metaphysical questions. So the hymns, it's talk about metaphysical questions about the creation of the universe, deep meaning of the universe. So it's a very broad version altogether. So let's discuss the Atharveda. As we can say, this Veda is basically um, different from all the Vedas. Now let's discuss the key features of the let's quickly discuss the key features Atharveda. So Atharveda, it's basically Atharvedas, talk about the health, longevity, love, protection from harm, success, endeavor, cosmic knowledge. It also addresses the issues like disease, misfortune, struggle against the enemies. right? So it's contained different hymns, like spell or philosophical insight. So it's a broad version, right? It's a broad version. It's include your health, black magic, Ayurveda, yoga, right, and some metaphysical questions. So it's cover a broad aspect of day-to-day life. And the more recent Veda we have is Athar Veda. So it consists of 20 books. It consists of 20 books, 730 hymns, and 6,000 mantras. Okay, which covers various topics that we have discussed earlier. Now, the focus area of this Atharveda is that healing and medicine, like many hymns, which is dedicated to Ayurveda. It's focusing how you can cure from a particular diseases. It's talk about the magic and rituals, like several hymns which is dedicated for a black magic and how you can protect yourself from the black magic or such practices. Then some mantras, that for the prosperity, dedicated for your prosperity and protect you in somehow, and work on your prosperity. Then some philosophical aspect, spiritual philosophy. So some hymns is dedicated, some hymns basically explores the metaphysical questions about the existence of this universe, about the existence of ourselves, right? And if we talk about the practical application of the Atharveda, is that it provide the guidance for everyday concerns, including relationships, agriculture, and governance. And that is why we seen this Veda as the Vedas of common people, which address the practical and immediate needs. Now let's discuss the messages in the Vedas. So Vedas are not just ritual text, they are the source of broad human wisdom. They are the guiding principle of human life. And as we have discussed the existence of this universe or the creation of this universe, and who is behind behind this universe, what kind of energy or the divine energy is working behind this creation. It's talk about relationship between the human beings and nature. It's talk about the relationship between atma and pramatma. It's talk about the astronomy. Next, let's talk about the astronomy and celestial observations, like the exact precise planetary position, celestial movement, like the distance between sun and earth, to be very precise. And the several hymns which is dedicated talk about the actual distance and the celestial movement, or the planetary positions, or distance between the two planets and their movement. It's everything is discussed in detail. Then it's covered the next aspect, that is marriage. It's talk about the concept of marriage, health, like Ayurveda, methods of inquiry into life, different perspective, different vision of the sages about their life, about their connectivity with that divine energy, about the purpose of the life. Various questions they have asked about themselves, like what is their purpose of the life, why we are here, and what we have to do, right? And what is important for ourselves. So various queries there about life, various inquiries there about their life, how to lead a good life. Then peace and living in the present, not focused on the past, not focused on the future, because these are the things which are not in our hand. It's beyond our hand. We can't control our present or past. Then prosperity of which um next is prosperity of all beings. We have to think about all beings, not about just human beings, but all living beings. And Vedas, the knowledge in the ancient the knowledge in Vedas are beyond our understanding. It's so much there to understand and learn from the Vedans, because it's in very depth. Because when you are start working on one point, you have to go, 10 you have to go through 10 books to understand just one concept in depth. So it is not easy to understand everything in just read the important topics. It is not possible to understand the deep meaning which are hidden in our Asian textbooks. A major message found especially in Atharveda is unity of mind, heart, and purpose, and success is linked with cooperation, agreement, and common resolve. Each Veda is divided into four parts. These divisions are made according to the subject matter. So every Veda is divided into four parts, and these parts are, each Vedas consists several brahmanas. Like Rig Ved में we have Kostki, Athreya, Samved में Panchvesh, Gemini, Atharveda में Gopat, and Yajurved में Taittiriya and Satpratha. Satpratha, it's most important because um, It's talk about the 100 sacred way to acquire knowledge. Then next we have Samhita, which includes different mantra. Sanhita, which includes different mantra. Then we have Arankas. Arankas may we have this is also known as the forest book because it is written by the sages living in jungles, basically for their students. And it's basically concluding of Brahmanas. And it's basically opposite to the sacrifice as it focus on the meditation, and it's basically bridge the gap between the way of life and way of knowledge. um so it's जो basically Arankas है, it's basically a detail of rishis living in the jungle. Next, last we have Upanishad. Upanishad may basically Upanishad means sitting next to the teacher. It's basically a dialogue between the teacher and student and their philosophical. Like if any student have any questions about the universe, about their soul, so it's a dialogue between they explore this Brahman. Next, Vedas and the principles. So Vedas basically teaches about the moral values, which is important for day-to-day life. So Vedas basically creates the value how to lead a good life, and as they first think about the society, not just about themselves. For example, for a businessman, they have to think about a product which actually solve the problem, which actually have a need in the market, not just anything which they push to the customer to buy it through the different advertisement or emotional appeal, but the product is not that much effective, or that not much productive, or not much effective or a productive, or does not have any relevance in their life. So creating value by reading inspiring books that change the way of thinking. So it's emphasize, it's have a very broad version. Vedas have a broad version. So we should focus on, start reading something new that change our perspective. Um, then Vedas includes the concept of karma, the concept of dharma. Uh, as the law of karma basically helps you to be alert about our deed, and it's create a healthy society if we follow the Vedic principle, and inheriting a principal life and dedication and devotion is to what we do. So in short, Vedas help us to Vedas are the guiding principle to the human life, as it's explained with the help of the concept of karma, the concept of dharma, vasudeva kutumbakam. The family is one, word is one family. um, and what we learn a lot with the help of the concept of karma, dharma, vasudeva, kutumbakam, and swadharma. The different stages of life, different role and responsibilities of an individual in a society. We have to think about society, not just about themselves, how to lead a good life, and it's talk about ethics, sustainable practices, ethics, integrity and honesty in role of ethics, integrity, honesty in your day-to-day life, and focused on inspiring books which that can change your perspective about the life. So it's basically Vedas creates a healthy society by following the Vedic principles. Vedas are the origin of yoga. Yoga result in the control of mind and senses, ultimately leading to the liberation. So it helps to improving or to have a good control on body and mind, as it focused on as it focused on improving. Yoga it basically help us to improve our physical body posture, and it's provide a stable mindset